Today is January 30th, 2018. My name is Goz, and this is MMA Junkie Radio. It's pre-show, the show before the show. I'm a guy who forgets his phone all the way at home when he gets to Mandalay Bay and parks, and then has to go all the way home and get his phone. That's who I am today. To my right is Ana Julaton. She's a boxer and mixed martial arts, and she's going to be doing both under Bellator. And what's the promotion that does the boxing portion of it? I saw in the press release. What's the name of it?
It'll be Orion Sports and Lou DiBello Promotions,
there
right?
You go.
Yeah.
You've been Lou DiBello for a while, right?
No, I'm with Alan Tremblay, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hall of Famer. He's worked with the likes of Joe Macy, Lennox Lewis, and Steve Molitor, and myself. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Over here to my left is Dan Tom, MMA Junkie Radio's fight analyst, and all the way in New York City is producer Danny.
Hi.
Good one, Danny. You sounded like a confused stripper jumping out of a cake.
I mean, is it fair to say that I felt like one for a split second there?
Yeah, maybe. Hold on 1 second. Danny, you talk.
Any shows coming up, Danny?
I do, actually, this Friday. That's.
Nice.
Oh, I know. I can announce. I don't want to break the news without George here, but so Thursday and Friday we are going to be streaming our show live.
I haven't been able to get
in the day.
Oh,
MMA
nice.
Junkie. No, MMA Junkie is going to be earlier in the day, right?
Oh yeah. That's right. I don't even. Yeah, we should wait for George. I'm bad. I don't even know that. I will be able. I should, because I actually will be able to make it, because I will. I think I will. I still didn't get a surgery date. It's the biggest.
You didn't get I
run around ever. No, they gave me a card. They didn't even make me do tests like they were supposed to. And the guy's like, "Oh, so I hear you have." I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure I have one." And then was diagnosed with this. They sent me to you guys. And oh, okay. And then I showed him this fucking crazy ball. He's like, "Oh yeah, you haven't heard?" I'm like, "Yes." Well, we'll get you a surgery.
Did he poke it and go, "Yeah, that's bad"?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
So you basically went to a cartoon doctor, and he poked your pain area and goes, "Yeah, that's bad."
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation.
This was not like the biggest peace of mind treatment. So
I always laugh when people say, "I don't mean to laugh," as they're just in hysterics.
Well, because I feel bad, because I know Dan's in a lot of pain, and I'm really not trying to laugh at him. But just like exactly that reaction.
The cartoon doctor?
The cartoon doctor of him poking Dan and going, "Yeah, that's bad."
That's pretty much what it felt like.
You can't really do anything else but laugh, because it's like, really, I knew it was bad already. I've been dealing with it. It's me.
Yeah, he waited a whole week for that guy to go, "Oh yeah, you're right."
Kind of a month, to be honest. But yeah.
You should probably get surgery.
Yeah, no, I am. When they call me, they gave me a nice shiny business card someone will call me with the details. I'm like, not the doctor that I. They're all seemingly rushing to get out of there from me.
Quick, Dan Tom, when was the last time you were on an airplane?
You guys.
Ana Julaton, when was the last time you were on an airplane?
I think in...
Coming up in...
Oh, recently. I just came in
10.
from the Bay. Yeah. It's like last month.
By.
Yeah.
No. This month. I'm not even keeping
important.
track of the days.
Stand by.
And how much money for you to tell him, "You stand by, bitch"?
Captain, we are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our
Next time,
crew,
there's
we'd like to
$20
thank you
waiting
for
for you to
flying
do that.
MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position, because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yes!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
with the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, this is MMA Junkie Radio Live, the only show that matters. Now you gotta do it. Do it.
I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, Ari's co-host. To my left is the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Back east, handling all the producing duties, it's Danny Otto, our special co-host for the day, former boxing champ, current MMA and boxer, Ana Julaton. What's up, guys?
Hey.
What up?
What's going on?
What's new? What's new?
Well, I guess you can't talk about it.
I was here. My computer was here. My stuff was here. I just had to go out and tend to some business.
Yeah. Did you handle that business? Because I'm just getting asked about that right now.
Yeah, I did leave a voicemail.
With this person? This person just asked that?
Mm-hmm. I left a voicemail.
Okay, so we're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. You might want to write check VM, but yeah, we're good. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You know, for a while there, sometimes your fights would have a lot of space in between.
Yeah.
And now here you are. I mean, what, you're fighting in about 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
February 16th?
Well, we have 2 weeks here, and then we're leaving on the 12th to fight on February 16th.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, it's good. It's good to have the activity. It's nice to actually get back in that pace. It reminds me of back when I was training for just world title fights and defending them and stuff. And I'll tell you what, it's like a completely different world in terms, just for the fighter. Everything is just in key. Yourself, the environment, and, just your senses are just, all heightened. So it's nice to actually get the activity back in October. Call Heather out, and, we both didn't get the decision that we wanted. I'm sure she's dealing with her thing right now, but we're fighting again.
Yes.
And then
MMA first, and then the plan is to box.
Yeah. So it's
how concrete is that plan to box? Is it just we think it's gonna happen, or hey, we've signed contracts, it's happening?
Oh no, it's happening.
Oh, cool.
Both of our boxing promoters will also be there on the day of the fight. So
nothing hinges on this fight.
Well, a little bit. It depends on how each of us fares out. At the end of the match and stuff and. With the commission and stuff like that, allowing us when we can.
You mean
fight
health-wise, right?
Yeah.
But result-wise, I mean,
yeah.
You're both just going to turn around and box.
Yeah.
At a later card. Not related to Bellator, though.
I think it'll be in co-promotions with Bellator.
Oh, really?
I'm sure they'll do. Something about it. I'm sure there's a lot of moving parts that's happening as we speak, but I've been so tunnel vision in the gym,
Check out Bellator, man. Kickboxing, MMA, and boxing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask was we initially, remember when we talked about this in the studio, we said, why not do 3 and do a kickboxing one as well? Was that ever brought up at all?
No, not yet. I think it might be a little bit too far ahead.
Would you be down?
Heck yeah, are you kidding me?
To do all 3?
Yeah.
MMA, kickbox, and box?
I think any fighter would jump at the opportunity of getting 3 concrete fights and just knowing that they're actually going to have the activity and it'll
but
have
versus
a slot
the same person, you're cool with that?
It's what the fight game is. I'll tell you what, Manny Pacquiao wouldn't be who he is if it wasn't for Marquez and Antonio Barrera and and Eric Morales. He had at least a trilogy with all, except for Barrera. My bad. But yeah.
So let me ask you this. Well, that was a quadrology or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You beat her in MMA. Then you guys box. You beat her there. Are you really going to go, yeah, let's kickbox now? You might go, it's 2-0. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I'm asking. There's so many, like you said, moving parts. There's moving parts in my head, too.
And I can't even think that far ahead. But I mean, obviously, if anyone's in up and up, they want to go for the third. You're like, I'm
well, you can't think that far ahead. And I'll tell you why. Because you think you're going to win in February, right?
Yeah.
All right. And you feel like you're going to outbox her.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm asking you to play Jordan one-on-one. If you get past him, you got to play Kobe.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why I'm asking you, because Goz's idea is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they won it. Yeah, we got the trilogy. But if one fighter takes the lead, and we're interviewing you, because I'd ask Heather the same thing. But we're interviewing you. If you take the lead 2-0, I don't know that the third one's really gonna. At that point, you might want to box someone else or MMA someone else.
If it went in a different order, perhaps, but with kickboxing being the last one, I would say if one person's 2-0 at that point, we probably don't need to do it, right?
Yeah. Which one pays more, MMA or boxing?
To this day, I would say that when I was holding the titles for boxing, I was getting paid a lot more. But I mean, Bellator, they definitely do take care of their fighters, especially with the component of getting the sponsorships and the endorsements and stuff like that. So
no, but I mean, you versus Heather in MMA and boxing. Will the boxing side pay you guys a little bit more than?
We haven't really worked out all the details in that.
Well,
yet.
the reason I ask
Yeah.
is because you could do a trilogy, but I would say go where the money is on the trilogy.
Oh, 100%.
fight,
Yeah. I love how you guys talk about the business aspect of it too. It's so underrated. You know.
Then again, if you're boxing and she's holding you, you may want to go. Oh, I want to go back to MMA so I can throw an elbow. Right?
I'll tell you what. There's just being able to train in MMA. I feel like there's a lot of other stuff in the clinch work that hasn't been utilized enough in boxing. I would say like at the highest level, a lot of the few exceptional boxers have been able to use it, like a Floyd Mayweather, using a lot of elbows on the inside and stuff. But you know, just being able to get the repetition and just having it as part of my daily weaponry to practice certain things on the inside. You know, I think there's stuff that hasn't been, like I said, done enough in boxing, which would be fun to use.
Hagler and Foreman used to use those forearms a lot in the inside, but they would use it as leverage and then come off and throw punches.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Like they're calling it the frame or whatever, and just you know, using stuff in there. Yeah, but for sure, 100%. I remember when I was working with Roger Mayweather. That was this guy is so phenomenal. He was giving me like a martial art lesson, which was kind of weird.
Roger?
Yeah. He was talking about balance, head position, and he was talking about, you know, these little intricacies of like how to use the you know, the length of your arm for certain things, and it's like it's boxing, but it's not boxing, you know. But yeah.
How is Roger, by the way? I know I was looking at your social media, and you stop at Mayweather's gym quite often. Is he still active there? I know he was battling an illness or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't seen him at the gym lately. You know, we definitely all wish him the best and a lot of positive energy and stuff like that. But you know, if there's one thing that he was able to leave us behind, is a lot of his energy and a lot of his knowledge and experience in the ring. So.
The original Black Mamba.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Kobe, but that's time-wise, yes. Obviously, Kobe, I think, was the greater Black Mamba in the end, career-wise. But yeah.
We said that one time, and he winked. He just gave us a wink, like, that's right, baby. Yeah. that's what I think the wink meant, right?
And he hadn't cornered Floyd in a while, so I knew that his health had deteriorated. But, you know, people make comebacks, and we haven't really – there hasn't been a reason to ask, I guess, since Conor and Floyd, you know, because – people would ask Floyd, so who's going to corner you? He'd say, my pops. But in the past, for many years, it was Roger.
Yeah.
Can I ask a silly question? You know when you're a kid, and I guess in my life, if I pop in the movie Hoosiers, 20 minutes later I'm outside shooting hoops, and I'm all into basketball or whatever, you know, Rocky movies, you're out there swinging. Once you become a professional, do those movies still influence you the same way, knowing that obviously it didn't really work that way, but can you pop in a movie like Rocky and just get amped up? Like, are there any movies or anything like that you could pop in that make you 100%.
Quicker? A couple of them. $1 Million Baby is one of them. But another one is Cinderella Man. Just
great movie.
Oh, phenomenal movie. And just, you know, just those little, like, in between the fighting and the training and stuff, where they'll have these certain lines talking about, you know, I'm here to, you know, feed my family and stuff like that, and you just like that right there. I believe that's the real fight. You know, just living it on a daily basis, going into the actual arena, going and being able to perform. That's the easiest part. You know, it's just leading up to that. It's a daily war zone. Yeah.
You can grab motivation from a lot of aspects of our life, but has there ever been maybe a question from the media or a story you read, something that just kind of either pissed you off or motivated you, but just a specific thing that kind of woke you up a little bit?
Oh, that's a good one, because a lot of them pops into my head. But to think of just one.
Be somebody doubting you?
Like that right there, like that doesn't really bother me. If like someone from the media or just someone I don't even know, someone who hasn't even like been around my camp, and if they were to give some sort of criticism or anything, I'm like, man, what have you accomplished? What do you know? Like, you haven't walked the road that I rode. I mean, like, just the other day or a couple of weeks ago, like, are you willing to go through the schedule that I'm going through? Like, right from here, I'm going over to the gym. I'm about to lace up some gloves and, I'm about to throw down. We're about to get at it. But to a point where I remember just a few weeks ago, I was dealing with the cold that's been coming around, right? And I was on my period, and it sucked. it sucked so bad. I mean, it was so intense. My body was trying to recover. My immune system is down, and my sparring partner, he's giving it to me. He's going intense, but I mean, he's down for me. But my nose is all bleeding and stuff. I'm coughing so much that. I'm coughing up blood, in between the sparring session, and then I'm bleeding and I'm peeing all at the same time. So it's a very uncomfortable position.
I'm glad we fist bumped. We normally hug it out, but no, I'm just kidding.
But just to be able to go through something like that and then just take it as a norm, that's something that you just do, and then you just go into your daily life. I take any sort of comment or criticism it's like whatever. It's like you have no concept. You have no idea. You have no idea what it takes or what a lot of fighters go through in order for them to achieve their goals. So I'm not too worried, or it doesn't really faze me when
Joe
people
armchair
say,
quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Can I share a story with you? A lesson that I learned.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I might have told you this, but about 2 weeks ago, I got in an argument with someone.
Okay.
And I was going for a run, and I was stretching as this was going on. And then I take this call, and I have a little bit of an argument. And when I go on my run, normally I run 2 miles. Okay?
Good, yeah.
And no problem. I'm okay. I run it with no problems. I made it maybe a quarter of a mile before I started getting really tired.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about times when fighters...
Because I got a horrific knee. I think I can make a quarter
I know. That's what I'm saying. But I thought about times when fighters go... you just don't understand. Somebody broke some news to me right before the fight, and it affected me.
Yeah.
And then people go, come on, man up, go in there and fight. I couldn't believe how that one little argument affected my cardio so easily, how distracted I became. And I thought about that. I thought about what fighters go through and how just even little things like what's not a little thing, but Kendall, his father's ashes, right before
Grove.
the fight.
Yeah.
Other fighters just like Crow Cop when he wouldn't get his trunks, right? What he would go through. I thought about, wow.
That's a great story, yeah.
Here's my question of motivation, though. You said movies earlier, or Goz brought it up, and you said $1 Million Baby, and that's a good movie, but did it motivate you the same way as it motivated me? Because that movie pissed me off at the end. It felt like they oversold it. Like, I get it. They're bad people. Like, their family's a big circus, too. Sorry, what was your opinions on the end, though? Come on. Was the end oversold there? We get it. There's the bad. We're already rooting for her. Why do we have to watch her suffer?
I mean, it's I don't know. Maybe that was more for the general public. Maybe I know that's to the extreme and stuff. But
yeah, right.
But I'd say there's a lot of poetry in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman.
Great. I love his character.
Yeah.
Speaking of characters, though, the comedic character Danger, the goofy kid
yeah.
There's one of those kids in every gym. I swear, there's one, and there's one Danger in every gym. He just wants to get in there and spar.
And they're like one of the best guys, though.
Yeah.
Energy is phenomenal.
Get it.
So let me say one thing, Anna. Fully respect what you said, and I understand what you said and what you said. But I think a lot of fans also, their only way to relate is through their jobs and through what they've seen other athletes do. And because other athletes have overcome adversity, Jordan with the cold in one of those world title games or whatever, Brett Favre still playing the night he was told that his father had passed away. I think that's why fans expect everyone to rise up. Is it fair? I don't know. I mean, the 2 males I just described are superstars. It could be that's that next level, It could be that their fiber is different. Maybe Favre wasn't close to his dad, and maybe the cold was exaggerated. I don't know, whatever. But I think that's why sometimes fans feel like they still have their say.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I tend to lean on the side of the fans, even though I'm close to a lot of fighters and I do know what they go through. I listened to an interesting interview with Ben Askren and Joe Rogan, and Ben was saying what separates wrestlers from other combat sports athletes in MMA is that grind that they go through. Not only do you fight your teammates throughout the year, and you make weight many times per year, You are fighting the best of the best in your wrestling room, within your division, against other wrestling teams in the nation. And he says, and you have to do it no matter what. The condition to do it no matter what. He says, I know that March 15th through the 17th of this year is the March Madness, they call it, rather than March Madness, which is what the hoops tournament is. They have theirs. And so they know that on that day, they have to wrestle no matter what they're feeling. Bad news, colds, this, that, whatever. And he says it's all about mentality. And he says the great ones program themselves to, no matter what, fight through it all. It was interesting, you know. I'm not Ben Askren. I certainly probably am one of the people that if I wasn't feeling good, that would probably be a difference maker for me. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I think there's good points on both sides.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
But I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I know it can affect an athlete, and I think that's just athletics is just, I guess, a percentage of what life is. And in life we all have adversities. Well, in athletics, you know, we don't know how Tom Brady's going to feel. We don't know how the Philly quarterback's going to feel on Sunday. Who knows? Yeah. But fans, they don't care much. They only care if they're your true fan. Your true fans are the ones that ride with you. You know, the rest of them are like, bring on the next event. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And that's the whole thing with professional fighting is that you have to have a thick skin. You know, it's like no matter what situation that you're in, you got to perform, and that's what people come to see. They want to see you go out there and fight. So no, I totally get it.
And what sucks is you only get once every 3 months or every 6 months to right the ship.
Yeah.
A football player can have a bad game this week and come back the following week.
Or an NBA player.
Or an NBA player only has to wait a day or two.
Yeah.
Baseball player, sometimes they play 2 in one day.
Yeah.
A doubleheader. Also, those sports athletes make considerably more money.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little easier. Oh, man, some guy burned me for 3 TDs, but I'm still cashing that check. The guarantees are there because it's more of an established sport.
Yeah.
With MMA and partially boxing, because not everyone makes Floyd money, but whatever. With them, a lot of it hinges on a win bonus, you know, or am I getting cut? And I think that even adds to the pressure, which now you also have to flip it and give credit to MMA athletes, especially nowadays. Not in 50 years, they'll be getting paid, compensated really well because the sport's going to continue to grow.
Yeah. But
the ones that are doing it now for what they do it, that commands a lot of respect.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And what I do appreciate with a lot of MMA organizations, too, is that even if an MMA, one of their fighters were to lose, as long as they put out a really good fight, an entertaining fight, you know, they'll give them another chance, another shot. And that's one thing that I definitely do appreciate more versus the boxing side. You don't losing is not a luxury at all. It can either make or break your career, you know, so yeah.
You know George and I are brothers, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think if him and I were fighters, at some point our parents, the day that we announce our retirement, they would probably say, finally, thank God. Like, they would be happy, right?
Okay.
What is it like with your family? Like, you've been doing this so long. Are they big fans of it? Will they miss it, or will they have that same reaction?
Oh man, it's that was a touchy one for me because my parents, you know, for the most part, they obviously support me, but it's not like they come to any of my training practices, you know, and more so I'd say for me, mainly because they just don't understand it. They have zero idea, and for them to even try to take the time to even just know about it, I think it would just be way too much. And so if anything, they sound like the common fan to me. They don't know the intricacies behind all of it, not even the business aspect of it. And the only thing that I ask of them is just to be supportive, you know. And so, you know, where they at with it? Just like your average fan, you know, if things go great, they're all like, oh, you know, they're all for it. And then when things go bad, you know, they're just like your worst critic. You know, and it's such a, you know, weird balance, and I'm not complaining about it. I would rather have it that way because they have no idea what it takes to even just get a fight or even just to get into an organization. Like when Angela started having me train with Freddie Roach, all of a sudden they feel like they're a part of it too, when they had no idea what it took to even get there. You know what I mean? And so, and I love my parents, I love my family, but at the same time too, there's just such a huge gap in terms of understanding. And you know, with them, I just got to make sure that I just train hard and I don't get hurt. You know, that's the only thing I can do.
What about those boxing titles you've won? That had to have changed things a bit, right?
Yeah, 100%. All of a sudden,
like, wait a minute, you're for real. even the harshest critic or non-believer.
I had relatives who I didn't even speak to. You know, even growing up, all of a sudden invited me to parties and making sure that I bring the belts. And you know, they
really,
they
parties.
Go to parties. Awesome. And you know, they're like, you know, putting their arms around me like they've known me for years. You know, and it's like, you know, I love you guys. You guys are my family and stuff like that. But we didn't have that relationship. You know, it was all of a sudden that you started seeing me because I was getting hooked up with a lot of the Philippine networks, the major ones, and so whenever they flip it on and they watch the news, they see my commercial and stuff. And they see my
you met the president?
Yes. Meeting the president, training with Manny Pacquiao, training with Freddie Roach. And
bring that belt, Anna. Why don't you come over to the barbecue this weekend? Bring that belt and see if the president's free. And
let me text you come my direction since we haven't really hooked up in a long time. This is where I live.
Was it kind of a lot bittersweet? You know, or
it was weird. It was very superficial, and it was an eye opener. And it just gave me a much better understanding of how the world works, you know. And you know, I don't hate them for not understanding, because at the same time too, I'm not trying to have them enter in my world. You know, I'm not trying to bridge that gap, because it's just way too much. It's just too different. For them, like for the story that I shared earlier about me, you know, going through my period and go through sickness and blood coming out in every hole that I have in my body while I'm sparring, you know, getting pounded on. That's something that they're not going to want to listen to or hear about on a daily basis, because when they look at me, everyone thinks I'm so approachable. The other day I talked to another Filipino older gentleman. We would have to call him Ninong for respect, right? But he's like, "Oh, you're gonna fight? Aren't you scared?" And in my head I'm thinking, you know, what the fuck? I've been doing this for like a good part of my life. It's like, this is my livelihood. I was like, you're saying that because I look like one of your nieces, you know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, it's too contrasting for people to pick up on the idea, you know. And it's just weird, because sometimes like that side of it really, it can just get me kind of pissed off. I was speaking to like one of these coaches some time back, and it was weird, because he asked me, "Hey Anna, you know, when you're training, do you like to train with guys or girls?" And in my head I'm thinking, what the fuck does it matter? You know, I train with Freddie Roach. His whole idea is if you're gonna train, then you deal with it, you know, male or female, right? And my answer came to him was, I like it when people don't talk during the gym. You know, it's like, it's not a male or female thing. But yeah, I can ramble on about the whole thing about, you know, being a woman in combat sports, but it's definitely a different mindset, and you have to be aware of a lot of things, and you have to choose and pick your battles, knowing what to get upset over, because it can affect your training.
Let me continue with this.
Okay.
You mentioned your family, and you mentioned media and fans. What about within the gym? How accepted are the female athletes in boxing? I already kind of know a little bit more about MMA, but in boxing.
I think for female boxers, it's very competitive. It should be a little bit more like how Billie Jean King did it with the other female tennis players, where they had to compete against each other, but at the same time too, they had to band together to promote themselves, to get people more aware of what they do. In women's boxing, I don't think it's necessarily like that. Not to the point where they can open up their arms, and I think a lot of it too is because that's just how the culture is. Like if you were to have Manny Pacquiao with Floyd Mayweather, they're not going to be, you know, holding hands and stuff like that. Even when they were promoting their fight, they were in different parts of the stadium, you know.
But like in a gym, for example, do a lot of the male fighters come up and at least give you the fist bump?
Oh yeah, no,
100%. Do you get this feeling like they wish you weren't there?
I think the guys who are true professionals, and the guys that I see on a daily basis, like when I go to the gym, like I don't talk to anyone, I just do my work. And I don't have to be babysat where Angela needs to watch my every move. It's like if I'm like dog tired and I can't freaking move, you know, I'm pushing myself. I'm mentally saying, you know, let's do it, you know. And I definitely get a lot of acknowledgement from the other guys, which I totally appreciate, because man, there's so many alpha males in there, and if they come at me and they actually acknowledge me and say, hey, they address me as champ, and I'm like, wow,
that's cool. I was
yeah.
just about to ask you that. I mean,
Yeah.
those belts, they have to mean something even in the male world, even in the chauvinistic male world that can sometimes boxing be.
Well, they'll also see me do my work. I mean, I would go to the Mayweather gym, and I'll do my work, and on sparring days, Angela will bring in like 3 sparring partners, 3 guys, and they'd see me like go through all 10 rounds just with fresh new sparring partners. We do it old school style. That's how we would do it at Wildcard. And then just from that alone, just putting in the work on a daily basis, and they're like, yeah, that's, you don't fuck around with that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. But let me ask you about like that's like the tolerance and like I hear what you're saying, definitely, as far as like how it is in gyms, and I think MMA is getting there too as far as that goes. But back to what you're like saying about your personal tolerance. Can I ask you, because I obviously I can't understand the female aspect of it.
Yeah.
But from little aspects like family in relation to martial arts and stuff like that, like I can relate, and I think we all can relate to maybe being kind of judged for a book by its cover as far as that goes, right?
Yeah.
And let me ask, do you think that maybe your tolerance, if anything, maybe gets less as you get older, because now it's like, okay, now I have X amount of years in the sport. Like you shouldn't be looking at me as a female or a nice looking girl or this or that. Like I have X amount of years in the sport and belts, and if you want to even go further, but you really don't need to. Do you have kind of that attitude about it at a certain point?
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, I'd say when I was younger, even though I was putting in all the work, like sometimes I wouldn't even find myself acknowledging all the work that I would do, even though it was a lot, mainly because of like it's just there wasn't a lot of other female fighters to fall back on, to look at and just try to just kind of learn from, versus now, with growth of female fighting, and also just both gyms, whether it's boxing or MMA gyms, being a lot more accepting of having women in there. I'm over, and just being at this chapter in my career, being able to get a chance to have a second look at it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is true. It's like, fuck this shit. It's like, it's like, I did put in the work, and I'm looking at the work that you're doing, and I can already see the road and the challenges that you have ahead. And if my tolerance would be not, it'd be very short. It'd be more like back when I first started working with Freddie. He had a short fuse, and if you were to cross him wrong, Freddie, now, right now, it's funny. I'll joke with him. I'll call him, "Hey, Grandpa, what's up? What happened to your hair? Last time I saw you, your hair was yellow. Now it's white. But no, Freddie had a mouth. For one of my title fights, we went over to Canada. We were going to be featured on TSN. And they were asking him tons of questions, especially about Pacquiao fighting Mayweather. And he would go off. Like, he was cursing, he was swearing, hands balling up in fists. And he was very animated, And that's the Freddie Roach that I remember working with, where if you say something wrong, like for instance, I would be wrapping my hands getting ready for training. And if someone were to walk up to me and give me some advice or try to say so, or even ask me a question, Freddie would go from the front counter, walk a couple feet, talk to that person, say, "Get the fuck away from my fighter. Don't fucking talk to my fighter." And he, his Boston would come out. And then after turning that person away, he would look at me and he goes, "Get your shit going. Let's get ready to warm up." And I'm like, I didn't even do anything. But he would hold a hard, a really tight ship. And I think mainly because I am a woman, I was one of the very few women that was in the gym. And for him to work with someone like me, I'm sure he didn't want anyone to think, oh, the only reason why he's working with Anna is because she's a girl, versus I'm a fighter, So yeah, there's a lot of different social issues that we had to deal with on a daily basis. That's a little bit
common in martial arts. So a lot of times, at least I found, you're almost harder on the ones you like. It's kind of that. There's a weird mentality like that, right? Because it's good for them, right? Yeah. And you might not see it at the time, but you're like, oh, okay. So like, you maybe not go with the Freddie Roach, but now with this platform, is this kind of a thing for you? Like, do you want to use this platform to, like, put the example that these things you're clearly passionate about, in your own way, maybe not the Freddie Roach way, but.
I haven't even thought of it that far ahead, but yeah, maybe eventually. But I definitely do see a lot of value even in the way that Freddie would train me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's the same way that Angelo is training me. I mean, on a daily basis, I see him all the time, and I love this guy because he has my back, but he fucking just verbally just grinds me.
Angelo?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's intense. It's intense. You know. So over here, this is almost like
Angelo?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Oh, he's the most coolest guy you'll talk to, and he's a lot of smiles, a lot of jokes, a lot of nice things to say, but no, he gets it down. That's the Mr. Reyes that I knew from back in the day. He like in the martial arts, they would call him Fire.
Does he yell at Frank Mir too?
I've seen him yell at Frank, but since Frank has a few months before his actual fight, he's kind of working his way up until Frank really gets into the clinches of it, coming closer to the fight. But no, Angelo, he's fucking fire. Freddie's fire. When I was working with Roger, he was fire. These passionate coaches, they really invest into you and they really believe in you, and then it's such a cool dynamic. It's like I can't fuck this up. Because it's almost like being a kid, and you gotta have good grades, and if you don't have good grades, you go back home, and mom and dad be like, well, what the fuck, gonna start spanking you, if you didn't do good.
We're very familiar with that scenario.
All right, we gotta take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. And we have Ana Julaton in the house. She'll be fighting Heather Hardy at Bellator 194 on February 16th. They will be fighting in mixed martial arts. However, the nice spin to all this is both former boxing champions will also box later in the year. We'll be right back.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tax. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back here on MMA Junkie Radio. We were just talking about diversity and some things that happen with that. And I was just mentioning to Ana that sometimes if I'm at Target or something, somebody will stop me and say, do you know what aisle the deodorant's on or whatever? And I go, oh, it's aisle 6. And I'll go, thanks, amigo. Like I'm supposed to go, awesome. This guy gets me right here. You're right. That makes me feel better. I'm an amigo. I get that a lot. You don't get stuff like that? Do you guys get in the Asian culture?
I work manually. I'm brown, and even though I have issues growing my mustache that we talked about on the show, when I did grow it, and I worked. By the way, a lot of my jobs were like outside labor jobs, out here and stuff. So I was 100% Mexican. I was answering to amigo, senor.
Oh, you get them all?
Yeah, and I would just, because people just assume like, oh, he works construction, he's brown, he has a little bit of facial hair, and and even like the worst part was, I knew it was bad because then I'd have like Spanish dudes coming up to me, and luckily like I actually could understand what they're saying, but it was always just funny. So they always just all the guys on the job site just ended up calling me Chinito to distinguish me.
I kind of, I don't know if you guys laugh at him. For the most part, I laugh. Yeah. But there was one that got me blood red mad the other day. Hopefully my mom's not listening. Every once in a while she'll listen.
Your mom's mom.
But it had to do with her.
Okay.
And I was with her, and this guy asked me, oh no, it was a lady. She said like, are you going to need a table or something? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, for you and your wife? And I'm like, my mom? You think my mom is my wife right now? And whoa. I don't know why. And even my mom was like, come on, dude. Like, he doesn't look like this is a thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell him.
Hey, your mom
It makes me mad when people go, hey, who's older? I'm like, come on, man. Like, but yeah, that one was like night and day. Did I tell you that?
Who's older?
Yeah. So people.
It can't be any worse than when people have asked me if you're my kid.
Okay. You're right. It can't be worse. Well, but something happened to me that was probably worse than that.
Really?
I asked mom about this, but we were out.
I was your kid?
No. Somebody asked me. They asked me like if I needed a table, and I said yeah. And they said for you and your wife, because mom had her arm around my arm. And I was like, what the fuck? Even mom kind of was like, what? Like, what, you high or what? But yeah, somebody thought.
That's like the reverse of Hugh Hefner, right?
Kind of, yeah.
That's funny you guys got that. I used to get that with my sister. My sister was only 6 years older than me, but she was, full figure Pacific Island girl. So she, but from a young age.
God, I hope she's not listening.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible, but like, so it would be bad. But I would always block her. It was the worst block because like a fireman would hit her, and like we go to a gas station to buy something for school, some fire something, and I'd be like, Mom, can I have the candy bar? Because people would mistake it, so I'd always play it up just to have chaos.
You didn't want guys hitting on your sister. That's why you did that.
Yeah, it was just more to be a dick, To be
also
honest.
a good reason.
Gotta respect that honesty.
Yeah, why not?
By the way, that whole period thing, have you heard me giggling? No one's ever been that up front before. So, pretty cool. I mean, like, I guess, because a lot of fans and media do wonder about, like, is she meaner, or whatever on fight night? If
or
it
how does it
on a fight?
affect, like, weight cutting?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A few of the girls have said, like, well, this week was rough because they'll say, like, girl problems. And then the media's just kind of going, oh, wow, but nobody really goes, you mean your period? And so I guess you being so open about it, can you just finish that off and tell us what are the what anything that accompanies, well, you look at me, I'm all uncomfortable here. Anything that accompanies that time of the month for you during fight week, other than the obvious, I guess, bloating or weight, where else can it affect you? The negatives.
I would say sometimes, like, if you have a really hard one, you get headaches and stuff. Your body starts to get really sore and stuff, and it's just weird. Like, your body's just getting depleted. But I think
so in no way it's good for athletic performance.
I mean, for the most part, since there isn't a lot of research, in my opinion, about this whole issue, there's a lot of women, they just deal with it. They just suck it up and just go right through the fire. And yeah, like, I remember having to fight with it, and it's like, great, I'm putting on my freaking maxi pad, and here we go, let's take those body shots, let's get at it. And it's just something that you got to take it like a grain of salt.
I have a question.
Yes.
When it comes to training on
Yeah.
a day like that,
Yeah.
can you get sympathy from the coach? Like, will he say, "All right, I get it. Maybe we'll go 90% instead of 100"? Or
No. I think for the most part, a lot of women don't bring it up, especially if their coaches are males, because they don't have any idea. They have no concept, you know. And so, in a lot of ways, we're like, okay, well, you know, just bite your tongue and just go right through it, and you just write out the time. Yeah.
I also want to ask a silly question because he got to ask a silly question earlier.
Yeah.
I noticed that when you skip rope,
Uh-huh.
you have this beat, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it looks like your left is controlling everything and your right is skipping with it. But every once in a while, you kind of go boop, forward, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boop, boop, forward,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Is there a reason for that? Like, is it helping with the count? But it's always the right one doing that.
That's a great question. I think, well, at least for me, it's all about the endurance aspect of it. Because at that portion, we always do it at the end of it, where you're just most depleted. All your electrolytes are out. You know, you sweated a lot, and your body just wants to just lie down. You know, but you fight through it. And with skipping rope like that, sometimes I feel like it relieves a little bit of the pressure off the knees and ankles and stuff like that. But on good days, you know, then you'll just mix it up. Sometimes you'll just do the high knees, you'll do the double unders and stuff like that. But for the most part, the whole idea is to just keep skipping and make it look like it's easy.
You know something silly? I also had trouble skipping rope from a juvenile grade school level to when I started getting into boxing and kickboxing. So then I wanted to emulate all those guys. What actually made me do it was it Vitor Belfort before he fought Franklin, or one of the later fights after that, where it was one of the promo videos, but it was this awesome jump rope skipping thing, and he's going from, I understand the 2-2 on one side, 2-2 on the other, and you kind of get different rhythms, and it kind of emulates footwork, right? Yeah. But he was kind of just having fun with it, going left, 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 right, right, forward.
Yeah.
And I'm so ADD. Yeah, I'm so ADD. I'm like, that's how jump roping should be. And like for some reason, wanting to achieve the harder version of it taught me how to learn it, and I just started having so much fun with it. I don't know. This was random idea.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Frank Trigg is really good at it.
Frank Trigg is a good rope skipper.
Oh.
But you know who's the best one I've seen in MMA? Chris Wardesky.
Really?
Polish Hammer. Yeah.
Could go for like half an hour and hold a conversation with you while he was doing it.
He would.
No problems. And he doesn't even look like he's missing a beat. He doesn't look like he's exhausting himself. It's a proper warm-up.
Oh, okay.
Nothing where like,
it's a
whoo, I need 5 minutes, coach, before I catch my second wind and train. Nothing like that at all. It was very, very impressive how he could do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember seeing him
you remember Chris Wardesky?
I don't remember him doing the jump rope. I mean, I remember him, but I remember Trigg being really good at it. I remember Jacare being kind of impressive with it.
Well, Trigg did it at one of the fights I cornered him, and it may have even been the first fight I ever cornered. So all this is foreign to me. I'm just kind of more fanboying it, opportunity rather than me really having any input. And when I was there, I couldn't believe how much he skipped rope to warm up. I thought, wow, like he's wearing himself out for the fight.
40 minutes.
Ron Frazier, who was here the other day, he told me, no, he goes, we want to basically get him ready for his second win because his second win is very, very strong. And Trigg went out there and won that fight. So, but he really could go for quite a while. So,
different strokes.
Granted, this was 10 years ago, and MMA evolves.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In the end, there could be an MMA coach that's watching saying that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, or he may be saying, wow, I need to try that, or maybe something in the middle.
Yeah.
But
I love how different guys get ready for fights too. Like shout out to my buddy Rorschach, who used to be the lightweight champ for Tough Enough. I mean, you guys might even call one of his fights redheaded kid, but he would just.
What was his name?
Rorschach. And Jacob Swinney, but Rorschach, the character from Watchmen, because he had the red hair.
Okay.
He would just sleep under tables in the back. And it's funny, as you mentioned cornering, one of those Facebook memories came up just the other day of this. And he would sleep under the tables in the back, and he'd just be like, wake me up a half hour before, roughly before call time, about a couple fights ahead, or 3 fights ahead, so I can get wrapped and then have 2 fights to warm up. I was like, all right. And his warm up, he would sleep, but his only warm up would be like, because he was a little strong grapple, but get my guard, and he would just fuck. I remember if I knew I was having to help warm him up, some guys it's easy, whether it's holding mitts or grappling, it's pretty loose. But other guys, you just know they're going to have to simulate a fight on you, and you're going to be a good partner. So you're just whatever they want to do, you need them to be in their mindset. So you're like, go ahead, and you're just taking it like,
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's walkout is different. Yeah. Everyone's their preparations, the amount of time they spend in camp. Some people prefer 6 weeks. Some people swear they do 18, 16, 13 weeks. You know, and
I wonder how that works.
Some also
Yeah.
break for 3 days
Yeah.
at some point halfway through and then come back.
Yeah.
And, like they need that recharge.
Yeah.
I don't know that there is an actual right or wrong. What's this?
That's Rorschach.
No, I know, but when he said it, I thought that was the gentleman's real name. Then when you threw in the Sweeney part, I was like, yeah, I remember that. At first, I thought you said Horseshack.
Horseshack.
From Welcome Back, Kotter. I mean, that's kind of an old. Angela, you do realize we tape the show, right? I can send you a link. I feel bad. His arm's gonna be tired. He's not gonna be able to hold mitts. His one hand's gonna come down and poof, you're gonna clock him. With a left hook.
Yeah.
Is he one of the better mitt holders out there?
Yeah. Yeah. He has all these different styles, and I think what I really benefit from working with Angelo is that he'll be intuitive with you. So if, let's say, if you have a hard day, like today, I'm going to be sparring and I'm going to be doing a circuit and stuff like that. He'll fit and see, what kind of a pace he's going to do on the mitts. And if it's like leading up to a fight or if it's far away from the fight, he'll decide and choose when to like really ramp it up, where you just go in there and it's like a fucking sprint. You're just going, it's like, okay, I need my break. I need my water. I need to cool down. You do the whole thing. You spit in the bucket and, you go right back at it. So it's and I think that's important. That's stuff that I remember off of Freddie. Like, he's very intuitive with that. I remember when he would watch Manny, he was behind the counter talking with another coach, and he was saying, he looked a little flat the past couple of days during his sparring. They were thinking about easing up on the circuit for him, just so he can just recover and just get the proper repetitions in, for the rest of the week. So it's very intuitive, and from the way that I grew up in the fight in the boxing career, or in the boxing road, is just having a team that is, I don't want to say babysitter, but ones who like watch you all the time. And just quick shout out to one of my sponsors, Foodie Fit. They have been just phenomenal in terms of just understanding how what I do on a daily basis. Like, they would actually go out there. These guys are nutritionists, and they do the food meal prep, but they came out to my training session yesterday. We were doing the sparring, we did the circuit and stuff like that, and they actually saw how many calories I would burn on a daily basis, how much I sweat. And because of that, they're able to like have this phenomenal like meal plan and prep, and they can kind of spice it up on a daily basis. I mean, they'll give you information so long as you give them the proper information. But I think
so.
That's
How many
so
calories
key.
can you burn?
Oh my gosh, he
in a
like
day?
I didn't even realize it, because it's not my specialty. I just go in the gym and I work, and then when I see food, I just eat, and then I go into the next thing. It's not. I don't have time for that. He said I was burning like a couple thousand, and I was like, dang, I never really even thought of it.
And I'm all proud of myself when I'm on the treadmill and I burn 500 calories. I'm like, yeah.
Dude,
walking to the car like it's a big deal.
Good.
Don't ever
Hell
look
no.
at
Burn a couple thousand?
Don't ever look at Starbucks. That
Starbucks?
calorie, your entire workout goes.
No, you know why? You know why I know what you're talking about? Because, I think I shifted to whatever I got light, and it didn't taste as good. And I go, well, this whole calorie thing, how can I shave off? She goes, just wipe off the whipped cream. The whipped cream is 300 alone. So I'll give you an example. The mocha frappuccino venti is something like 500 calories. Wipe off the whipped cream, and it works down to about 2 or 3 or something like that.
No way.
Just
for
the whipped cream
venti?
alone.
For that huge size?
Well, the whipped cream, regardless of when it's on, will wipe off about 300 calories. So whether it goes 600 to 300, 500 to 200, whatever, it's just don't get the whipped cream.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you say
so if
venti,
let's say you're one of those that just,
I'm
I'm not going to give up my Starbucks or whatever. All right, can you at least give up the whipped cream? And that shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for most.
But yeah, those little things count. I was, because one of my goals is to make sure that I don't come in too light for this fight. Just trying to maintain weight, because you're just shedding off so much calories. And I was floating pretty light for a little bit, and then they just made just one minor adjustment. They wanted me to do some carb load, and I was like, thank you. It's like just getting a little bit of this information where you have actual professionals and specialists just tell you exactly what you need. And I think what's cool, what I love so much about Foodie Fit is that one of their nutritionists, they've actually competed in wrestling for 7 years and actually competed in boxing, so they understand the grind and all of that, and the type of intensity that's required for fight competition. So I'm like, thank you for speaking my
FoodieFitMeals.com.
Yes, they're here in Las Vegas. Yeah, you got to check them out.
Very cool.
And you can also just let's say if you want to get something for lunch.
I'll tell you what. I'll let you do the full plug, but we gotta take this break.
My bad.
The producer's
I'm just so pumped
strangle
up.
me. So let's take this quick break. When we come back, it'll give me a chance to look at this menu. Talking about food is not a problem with me. I'm already staring at their chicken parm. All right, it's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We have Ana Julaton in the house. Also, we'll be talking to Brendan Fitzgerald and Ben Nguyen in the second hour.
Thank you.
The best of SiriusXM Super Bowl coverage is all on one channel, Super Bowl 52, Radio Channel 145. Hear the news and interviews with athletes and entertainers from all of SiriusXM's channels, broadcasting from the Mall of America. Super Bowl 52, Radio Channel 145. Yesterday, I believe, was media day for the Patriots and the Eagles. And from here on out, I think the focus is just practice and getting ready for the game. So they did their travel, they did their media day, their check-ins, and now it's just the big game. And how huge is the Super Bowl? We should all have Monday after the Super Bowl off.
That should have happened a long time ago.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it kind of like the day after Thanksgiving. It's not special. Nobody discovered this country on that day, or nobody was a martyr or nothing like that. But it's just the day after Thanksgiving. We just kind of said, nah, let's just throw that out there, and it works. I think the day after Super Bowl should also work.
How about just for the city or the state that won?
No, everybody.
Everyone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. Some teams just make it to the Super Bowl quite often. In fact, I got to give that to the Patriots. They do make it quite often. They also lose quite often, but they do make it. All right, so we still have one more hour to go on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Play-by-play man Brendan Fitzgerald will join us next. He'll be calling the fights with Paul Felder down in Brazil, UFC Fight Night 125. We'll also talk to Ben Nguyen, who will be fighting at UFC 221 in Australia. So 2 more guests to go. Ana Julaton's still sticking it out with us, co-hosting with us here on today's MMA Junkie Radio Show. All right, folks, we'll be right back. Stay close.
See it once, you'll never be the same.
That's the end of my mattress. If someone urinates on it, there's no flipping it.
The force has got a lot of power. It makes me feel like it makes me feel like that.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. As we're waiting for Brendan Fitzgerald to call in, I just wanted to finish out what we started with Foodie Fit. So they basically prep all your meals?
Yeah, they're phenomenal, man. I didn't expect.
Give me some of your favorites.
It's all of them so far. Whether it's like they have chili that will have the calorie count, your protein content. I don't have to take protein shakes for this because they're able to calculate how much I need on a given day and how much my body is able to process. So in terms of like having extra supplements, like I don't necessarily have to have.
Is it a real chili or is it like tofu chili?
No, nothing tofu. It's either
okay.
like chicken or beef.
Really?
Yeah, they have like beef and broccoli. This morning I had some sort of like, it was kind of like a Mexican dish where I had some tortilla chips, with some egg, eggs
Chilaquiles.
and yeah. You can have sauces with it. On one of
That's a
them,
good one, amigo.
there's like there's like protein pancakes with a couple of sausage patties and stuff. But it's
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. And it's nice to have all the calories all written out, because like on days when I know my schedule, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a high output day. I can pick the ones with the highest calories, put it in. Because yesterday, like after my sparring session, I had a meal that had like 500 calories. I'm like, you know what? I'm still freaking hungry. And so I had one of their bars that they have to supplement it, and that's like about 300-400 calories. And I'm like, I'm eating close to 1,000 calories, right before my next training session, and they'll come in, they'll see what other output that I had. And it was so cool because after I left the Mayweather gym, I got to go over to Foodie Fit on Windmill, and they gave me like this extra juice there. They have cold pressed juices, and they have all these extra snacks that can supplement certain things. And it's not even like a whole lot. Like when they added the carbo loading a little bit at night, it's not like some major extravagant thing. It's just something that my body just needed, And I'll tell you what, just being with them for the short amount of time that I have, it's made leaps and bounds. Like my energy output.
That's a hoodie for them.
Yes, yeah. And I'm such a believer, mainly because like the training's hard, sparring's hard, all that other stuff. I mean, just being able to have that extra component of just being precise on your nutrition is just taking it leaps and bounds. Like my recovery's faster. Like I'm more coherent when I'm moving, and my body is feeling like a zombie. Like even though it's breaking down, I'm still able to think, and that's the name of the game: being able to think under a lot of pressure. So it's yeah.
So let me ask you this: big shout out. We plugged the website, but at the same time, Joanna Jędrzejczyk just had an issue with performing athletes. Is that what they're called, or something like that?
I don't know what the
actual. I've heard of a lot of fighters that'll be with a nutritionist, and then when things don't go right, oh man, the nutritionist let me down, or whatever. How much did you vet them? I guess did they just come to you and go, "This is what we do," and you go, "Thanks," or was there a trial period? And I'm definitely not trying to jinx anything or saying it. I just feel like it's pretty important nowadays after hearing all these types of stories out there.
Right. What they were able to do, just so they can get a little bit more background on me, is that they're coming into the camps. They're actually watching what I'm doing, as opposed to just us sitting there. And what helped out so much, because I wouldn't have been able to do this myself, is just my coach just going there, sitting with them, and telling me exactly what my body needs, and he's constantly communicating with them. So in terms of the trial period, I think that's what it is. How effective can everyone work under these circumstances? And having me fulfill the goals that I need. I mean, to the point we're already planning out what we're going to do when we go over to Connecticut, them shipping out food and stuff like that. And yeah, it's
good that one of them, you said, had 7 years of wrestling experience.
Yeah, on top of boxing.
Yeah.
Actually going through the whole thing, training for a fight, going through the scale, cutting the weight and stuff like that. And it's nice. They all, each one of the nutritionists have a different background and everything. With this bodybuilding, health and wellness, you have an illness that you want to fight over or get better at. They have specialties in that, and obviously the combat aspect of it. So they're very thorough. I mean, I've been going there almost every day now, just to be on point and just so I can get the proper information. And these guys were there on a Sunday. And I'm thinking, man, these the owners, the people who are just running things, this is their livelihood. And I'm thinking, you know what? It's not like they're doing corporate. They're just clocking in and clocking out. This is what they do. This is what they live and breathe and doing. And just being able to see that firsthand, and I'm like, shit, dude, do you even take a day off? Because it reminds me of how I am as a martial artist. Back when I would teach martial arts full time, I'm used to going in every day. It's just what you do. You don't clock in, you don't clock out. It's just your livelihood. So that right there, I thought it was a great fit. We're obviously trying it out for this camp, and so far everything's just been phenomenal. And yeah. Charlie wanted to make sure that I'm not gonna share too many of the secrets and stuff.
So we'll hold on to some of that, but we'll talk about some of your favorites in a bit. Right now we have our next guest. His name is Brendan Fitzgerald. He'll be calling the fights on Saturday with our good friend Paul Felder. Now, this is the way things are breaking down on Saturday. The main card is at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 7 Pacific on Fox Sports 1. The prelims will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 Pacific on Fox Sports 2. And these guys are starting to become a duo that's, working together now. I think this will be their third time. So it's good to see the UFC having many different play-by-play and color commentators work the different events out there. Joining us now is Brendan Fitzgerald. How you doing, Brendan?
Doing good, guys. How you guys doing?
Great, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George, Goes, Dan, and Ana Julaton, former boxing pro. I know you're not going to remember all the names, but it's just a formality, sir. Anyway, you headed to Brazil. I don't think you're calling in from Brazil, so you're heading out there soon, right?
Heading out there soon, yeah. We leave tomorrow, and, it's going to take about 26 hours to finally kind of get to Belém. Nice little 8-hour layover in Sao Paulo for us. But I just spoke with Tim Means, who just got there, and he did the same thing, said it wasn't too bad. So, it should be a fun journey.
Well, let me tell you something. There's going to Brazil, and there's going to Brazil in the summer. So I would bring maybe 2 or 3 jackets, 2 or 3 shirts. You're going to be sweating your ass off. Especially where you're headed, Belém, Brazil, man. That's right at the equator.
Oh, man, right by the equator.
Stay hydrated, my man.
That's right. Bottled water only.
Yeah. Let's talk about this fight card. Start at the top. Lyoto Machida versus Eric Anders. We had Anders on the show about a week ago, and he told us he's not even. He's told us he's not even worried about what Machida can do. His difficult, what a difficult puzzle he is to solve. He's more worried. He thinks Machida should be more worried about him. It's so interesting to see how this younger generation is approaching the aging generation. He's so sure of himself. He's 10-0, and he just thinks he's going to crack Machida. Now, we've been doing this show for about 10 years, and anytime we interviewed anybody else facing Machida about 8 to 10 years ago, that's all they talked about, how difficult it was to find training partners to emulate. But talk about this unique main event, Brendan.
Well, so Anders, and how about the fact that he's a main event fighter in just his 3rd UFC appearance? This guy has really climbed high and fast. And, if anyone were to ever forget, obviously it's much talked about that he played at Alabama, linebacker, was on the national championship team in 2009, and it's tough to forget that because of his mentality. It sounds like Nick Saban every time he speaks. It's like, and it's not, he doesn't say that in a braggadocious way in terms of what he was saying, like, Lyoto has to worry about me. He's just so businesslike in how he's handled every part of his career. He took an exceptionally long time to turn pro, took a lot of amateur fights, and he said because, I got one shot at this, and he was late to the game after his football career. So he's, laid out a game plan every single step of the way. Everything that he said has been calculated. Every way that he's trained and prepared for fights has been just super calculated, and there's been a playbook to it. And so I think that's the most impressive part, the way that he's kind of transitioned his, Alabama football mentality into a new sport. And so I just think it's interesting, right down to the fact that it was an interesting call-out, after his Fresno fight. Hey, Machida, I like the hostile environment. I'm ready for Brazil. And, I think everybody kind of raised their eyebrows at that big of a call-out for a guy who just was 2 fights into his UFC career. Sure enough, he got it, and now, he's looking at being the favorite maybe against Machida.
Yeah, probably like a Crimson Tide guy going into the Tiger Stadium, you know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Kind of a been there, done that
deal.
He's been
on the big stage before. Exactly, yeah.
Now, that said, as confident as he was, our co-host here, Dan Tom, uncovered that he had been training with, who was it, Stephen Thompson? Who else, Dan?
And Goichi Yamauchi.
Yeah, so he has gotten that look. He wasn't fooling us, but at the same time, it was more about the confidence and his swag in all this.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, and that's the way, as I said, since I started talking to him, he was on our Fresno card, so I had the chance to talk to him before that fight, too, and, he's not long-winded. He's just like, give me the next thing. Give me the next thing. And that's, again, it goes back to Alabama football. It's like, what's our next game? We're going to come and we're going to win it. And at the end of the year, we're probably going to be playing for the national title or standing on top. So he's taken that over to a totally different sport, and he's made it work for him. And, you know, he retired halfway on the tall. Took Marcus Perez, which was kind of a late change, and just dominated him for 3 rounds. So we've seen him do it in 2 different ways, and now we'll see how he does it against the legend.
Yep. And Lyoto Machida, I mean, his back can't be any closer to the wall after all this time off because of the suspension that he had. Then he comes back, loses in his comeback fight. Now he's headlining in his hometown of Belém, Brazil, versus a young guy who wants to put himself over on Machida's name. What do you think? You think Machida will thrive in this, or do you think it may get to him, even though he is a veteran of 20-plus fights?
I don't think it gets to him at this point. I mean, when you look at the fights that he's already had, the opponents he's already had, you know, he's been at the top of the sport. The fight itself will actually be 11 years to the day of him making his UFC debut. So he's been around. He's been a champ. You know, obviously fighting in his hometown is a big thing. That's, you know, he admitted as much. He said, you know, I would probably have taken another month or 2 off before coming back this soon, but, you know, it's the UFC's first time to Belém, so how many opportunities would he have like this? This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing to fight in the city where he grew up and where he has so many friends and family. So, you know, interesting to see how he comes out, certainly. After the first-round knockout in October, I think a lot of people are sitting here thinking the same thing. What is he going to show us? Is he going to get that form back? But, you know, in my opinion, he won't be rattled by the atmosphere at all. I think, if anything, he'll thrive on it.
Exactly. You know, that's the beauty of MMA, Brendan, because just in his division alone, I can think of 2 cases. Most recently, Derek Brunson fought, you know, in his home state of North Carolina. And, you know, he fought Jacare. It didn't come out well for him. I remember Chris Weidman had reluctancy to want to fight in New York. Things weren't going good for him in New York, and he wasn't so sure he wanted to fight in Long Island. But he grew up in Long Island. How can I pass up the opportunity? And it worked out for him. Sometimes it's just about rolling the dice.
I agree. And, you know, there is something to fighting at home. I mean, Michael Johnson just fought in St. Louis. And, you know, he lost. After a great first round, he lost. So, you know, it depends on how they handle the pressure. And I just think that Machida's such a veteran that he won't let it get to him, where other guys might, you know, think, man, I'm in my hometown. I really have to not only win, but I want to put on a show, and I want to be impressive and make everyone proud. And, you know, you overthink it too much. That's not a good thing in any sport. So I just think that with how long he's been around, that I'd be surprised if the atmosphere gets to him.
Brendan Fitzgerald, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He will be on the call at UFC Fight Night 125 in Belém, Brazil on Saturday. This is a Fox Sports 2 and Fox Sports 1 broadcast, and his partner in crime will be Paul Felder. All right, let me turn it over to Goes here. What do you have for Brendan Fitzgerald?
Brendan, I know your job is to make every fight on the card feel like it's the main event. But are there specific fights where you even know you're going to have to focus 2 times as much and bring it even more because of the type of matchup? And I ask this question because I'm looking right at John Dodson and Pedro Munoz, and I feel like it would be a nightmare to have to call this fight because these guys are going to be everywhere.
Not a night. This is the fight I have circled as maybe the most exciting matchup on the card. What do you mean a nightmare?
Like difficult, just because they move so fast and there's so many punches and kicks being exchanged at one point that it seems like it'd be tough to catch up or to keep up. Yeah,
I mean, you know, in my preference for any sport with any play-by-play announcer, I don't like over talkers. I like it when the action is able to tell the story and you let it breathe. So, you know, if there's a flurry of an exchange, I don't think you need to try to keep up with those hands because, like you said, there's no keeping up with it. So I just think, you know, get excited when the action's exciting. And if there's, you know, if there's the momentum building toward a possible finish, you really try to build that moment. But, you know, all eyes are going to be on this fight. And I think the co-main is just so interesting with the matchup. You know, Munoz, 3 of the last 4 fights, he's won and bonused. John Dodson's never been finished. Munoz just finished Rob Font, who's never been finished before. Like, this is going to tell us a lot at 135. So I don't look at it as scary. I look at it as really exciting because we might have a big moment here from a guy who's really looking to climb the ladder.
You know, you've worked with Paul Felder before, and you guys have an awesome chemistry. Can you maybe share, have you guys developed any sort of dynamic where maybe, can you share like what the last thing it is that you guys say to each other before you actually go on the air? Do you guys have any rituals or anything like that?
Oh, man, it's really just kind of laid back. I mean, it's like a fist bump before we go on the air, you know. It's like, you know, we got the Contender Series last summer, and we were able to work for 4 of those shows. But really, from the first show of the Contender Series, we were comfortable. You know, it's funny, like, he had fought in Scotland the Sunday before our first Tuesday show. Took a 10-hour red-eye from Glasgow to Las Vegas. And he was fresh off a win, so that was awesome. He was also fresh off a weight cut, so he just wanted to eat, like, every piece of cake and donut that he saw. And so it was really just a good atmosphere for us to kind of meet and become friends quickly, because we have. And they've kept us together through the summer and then through a few cards here. He's really easy to work with. He obviously knows his stuff. He had an awesome year in the octagon. So it's been fun to watch him. And then it's also been fun to get to know him. And, you know, really we just keep it casual. You know, it's like I trust that he's going to do his job and do his homework, and it's my job to set him up the right way and let him get in and show his expertise on each fight. And I'm just glad that we have kind of been able to form into a team, because he's a fun guy to be around. We work well together. We've enjoyed it.
Brandon, check it out. Every time we have a guest on, regardless if they're a fighter or not, we have what's called the street cred meter. Your street cred meter has not gone up yet. And it had a chance to, but come on, man, fist bumps. You guys should trade leg kicks. If you could take a leg kick from Paul Felder, your street cred meter will go through the roof, and you'll be the baddest announcer out there, man. You got to do it. Instagram it as well.
I do my street cred. I always joke because, like, you know, we have to wear makeup, right? So people are like, "Oh, you actually wear makeup?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But I do drink black coffee, just straight black coffee, nothing fancy. So I'm just like, I get my street cred back when, you know, some producer or whatever is making fun of me, and they get cream and sugar and all sorts of splendor in their coffee. It's like, come on, man.
Well, if you're not up for that, liver shots works too. All right, let me turn it over to Dan Tom.
Exactly. You know, it's funny. One more thing on Felder, like, he last when we were in St. Louis, he's just like, man, I feel like hitting pads. Like, I just want to hit pads and get back into it a little bit. And I was just like, yeah, I'll hold pads for you. And he's just like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. That's a mistake. And so I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So.
Yeah, those guys get knocked over, man. Pads or not, experienced or not, they'll get knocked over by the fighters at times. Brendan Fitzgerald, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, who'll be calling the fights on Saturday. They start off at 8 Eastern on Fox Sports 2. Then they move over to Fox Sports 1 at 10 Eastern. 10 fights headed your way with a main event of Lyoto Machida versus Eric Anders. Dan Tom, what do you have for Brendan Fitzgerald?
Well, Brendan, the straight black coffee impresses me, but if you want to impress Paul, just straight whiskey. That'll do the Irish Dragon just fine.
That's right. He's in there too.
I'm sure you know. But hey, man, I just got to say, first of all, you guys are doing a great job. You know, we spent some time with Paul, and he's a very personable guy. I think he does a good job of bringing that out, and I think you guys are slowly but surely really bringing, you know, that casual, that vibe, you know, that vibe together, and you guys are both just doing a really fantastic job.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been fun, and you know, what I always want to mention as well is the behind-the-scenes crew of the UFC is amazing. You know, they really have helped set me up for success, and, you know, me and Paul together, I think, as well. And they, you know, with the Contender Series, it was the perfect vehicle for us to just kind of get going on a smaller profile event that was like 5 fights instead of, you know, 13 fights, which is a whole different animal. And so, you know, it's been nice to just kind of climb slowly up that staircase and work with a consistent team each time. And, you know, I think it's just been a blast. I appreciate you saying that.
No worries, man. And I'm glad you brought up the behind-the-scenes crew, because that's actually what I was going to ask you. You know, as somebody watches a lot of footage, I really appreciate, you know, especially, you know, how the UFC stepped it up with all the guys they're bringing on. You can tell you guys are really doing your homework. It shines through in your work, and I appreciate that. But can you tell me, whether it's the obvious choices like John Anik or maybe someone else behind the scenes, has there been some really helpful advice since you've come on board, whether it's just, you know, the week-to-week turning the page or prepping for these events?
Anik was great. I talked to him over the summer just on the phone briefly, And for the most part, I've kind of let him do his thing. And, you know, he has a super busy schedule, and he's got a podcast and all that stuff. So I just chatted with him a little bit. And but really, you know, Zach Candido's kind of the guy who runs the live production for the events of the UFC, and he's really been instrumental in kind of bringing me along and showing me the ropes each time. And you know, just kind of making sure I have everything I need, working with the PR team so that I can talk to the fighters on fight week, because to me that's the most important thing, and that's the thing that goes the furthest. When you can actually just chat with these fighters for 10, 15 minutes even, you can really get a sense of what they're going for, what they're working on, what it means to them for certain fights. And then Michael LaPlante, Mike Ricci are the two producers that I've been primarily working with. They're great as well. Everybody in the truck's awesome. The makeup lady, Susie's awesome. Like, everybody is so together and pulling on the same rope for the UFC, which is awesome. And you don't get that at every TV station. You know, sometimes you come up and you have different egos that are clashing, or you just have, you know, old school guys versus new school guys, and there can be some issues or just some tension sometimes. And there's none of that at the UFC. Like, everybody wants the same thing. The fighters are amazing. They welcomed me and just been so grateful, and I've been grateful for them. And it's just, you know, I've poured myself into MMA, and I just love it. I can't explain how much I've loved the sport, and I've really enjoyed jumping in with both feet.
I co-sign. Big shout out to Mike Ricci, and yes, Susie, the makeup lady. She's phenomenal as well. John Stauffer, not as much. I don't want to give him a full shout out, just a half shout out for him. Yeah, but one more fight, and then we'll let you go, Brendan. I know you got a busy schedule. I know you got some traveling to do, but how about Priscilla Cachoeira versus Valentina Shevchenko? Now, I don't know much about Cachoeira. I'm sure you'll find out more about her when you're down there, but Valentina Shevchenko, this is a young lady who's done great at bantamweight, and now she's dropping down to flyweight. This fight, I believe, if she smashes, she could be looking at a title fight. If she wins, but, you know, maybe it's not electrifying, then maybe she's just a contender. But either way, this is one of the UFC's biggest stars, and this is, you know, this could be a huge fight for her out in Brazil in the new weight class.
Yeah, and you mentioned Cachoeira. You don't know much about her. There's a lot of people that don't know much about her. You know, and like, that's this fight. I talked to her earlier today a little bit, and she's just like, this is such a big opportunity for me. She's like 29. She views herself as late to the game, so she's like, you know, I gotta climb quickly if I'm going to climb. So they offer her Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, how much bigger can it get?
Right.
You know, Bullet's been 3 main events in a row. Now she's dropping back down to a 3-rounder. She's dropping down to 125. I mean, she's as good as she is at 135. And she is a judge's scorecard away from, instead of fighting this fight, defending the 135-pound belt. And she's just such a good fighter, Valentina. And, you know, I'm pumped that she's on this card. You know, I think it's, whether it's a mismatch or not, like, I don't know. You know, we're going to find out about how good Cachoeira is, but the UFC doesn't feed tomato cans like some boxing promotions do, or some different, you know, combat sports do. Like, they try to put the best against the best and really see where you're at. So they think highly enough of Cachoeira where they're putting her in a fight against one of the best fighters up a weight class, and now coming down to 125. So really excited to see this one. And Shevchenko, too, like, she lives in Lima, Peru. You know, this isn't a total road game for her. Yes, she's fighting a Brazilian, but, you know, she's on her same continent. She's going east a little bit. And, yeah, I think that's going to be a fun environment for that one, too.
I can't wait. And we thank you very much for joining us here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Safe travels to Brazil, and break a leg out there at UFC Fight Night 125 in Belém, Brazil.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it. Have a good week.
All right. See you, Brendan. Obviously, a full shout-out goes out to John Stauffer. That's my man right there.
Give him a shout and a half.
A shout and a half is what I meant to say.
Too late.
Is it?
Yeah.
I blew it?
You blew it.
All right. Let's take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. That was Brendan Fitzgerald from the UFC. He'll be calling the fights with Paul Felder on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2. On the Deuce, it's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On Fox Sports 1, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 10 fights headed your way on Fox Sports. And don't forget, there's 2 more on the Fight Pass. Some good ones, including Joseph Morales versus Davison Figueroa and Polyana Viana versus Maya Stevenson from the most recent The Ultimate Fighter show. We'll be right back. Stay close.
agents, because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
It's the biggest sports gambling week of the year, and the only place to follow the money is the Vegas Stats and Information Network. All week long, hear up to the minute odds and get the latest on all prop bets. Then on Sunday night, be sure to catch legendary broadcaster Brent Musburger for a live in-game wagering special until midnight in the East, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM, Channel 204. Those guys broadcast at the South Point. I believe they're a Monday through Friday show as well. You know what time they start?
I don't.
No? Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can I use profanity to ask it?
Yeah. Oh,
all right.
Oh, come on. I'm from the Bay.
See my hands? This is 0 fucks. There's a lot of fucks. Where does the Super Bowl lie for you?
Right now it's like not even on my radar. Although I
down
am
here.
You give 0 fucks about the Super Bowl on Sunday.
How about the Golden State Warriors?
Oh, it's at the
Okay.
highest, yeah, for sure.
What about the Giants?
Yeah, even though they didn't do so well last season, yeah.
So you're not gonna watch the Super Bowl?
Oh no, I'm going to a Super Bowl party actually as my recovery day over at my manager's house. Brett Raymer, who's the co-host of the show Tank on Animal Planet, he's throwing.
Is he asking you to bring the belt on the president of the Philippines?
No, just going over there just to recover, just being in a different vibe.
Did you bring the belt when your relatives asked you, or were you over it?
Oh yeah, no, I had to, and it's like photos galore. It's just weird. I mean, it's nice to see him happy and getting all excited about it and stuff like that, but kind of breaks my heart too, because it's like, man, if you only knew what the struggles it was to even get through it, you know, especially being a woman and just having to deal with all the the social issues that we deal on a daily basis, like these little jabs that we take on a daily basis, you know. And to them, they're thinking, oh, it's legit because it's on TV, you know. And I'm like, it's a little bit more than that. It's a lot more than that. But yeah.
As a female athlete, have you had any of the struggles that are in Hollywood for female actors?
Oh, in terms of like just getting more exposure and getting paid more.
I'm talking about the hashtag Me Too.
For me myself, I personally am lucky to not have experienced any of that. People that I work with have been always professional, very passionate people. They're really all about fighting.
Helps that you have a mean hook too, though, right?
Oh, I remember Freddie giving me a mean left hook one time when we were doing the mids. Rung my bell. I think I said it here on the show, a couple shows back. But yeah. If you want to learn how to throw one, you gotta take one. And I happened to take one with fucking Freddie Roach. To this day he says he totally remembers that moment. I think he felt bad because I saw him in his eye for that second. Then he had to harden up a little bit. You know, he had to toughen up. But yeah.
How'd you take it?
Oh, I mean I had to take it. I couldn't show him though. No. I know I couldn't show that it affected me.
Was this during mitts? Was this sparring? Okay.
No, it was during mitts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would run a series. We would go through the series, and then because he'll run you so hard that you start to break down. Guard starts going down a little bit. Stance starts getting a little higher. Things like that. And then just to check you to make sure that you're mentally disciplined, you got to make sure that you look just as good in the first minute as you are in the last minute. So. I mean, it was a great lesson, and yeah, if anything, I'm like honored to have that type of respect, because I'll tell you what, it's something that I always had to protect on a daily basis. That's for sure. Sometimes when I go to the gym and I see some people not being able to put in the road work, or if they're complaining, I'm like, man, that's a luxury, because I totally didn't have that at Wildcard Gym. For sure.
I saw an interview with Heather Hardy, and she makes it sound like you're more thinking about her than she's thinking about you.
Oh, right now, the feeling that I'm feeling is in this fight, whether I fight her or not, it's not going to matter. I'm still coming out with the same game plan. I'm coming out with the pain train. She may think that. I
like that, the pain train.
I've never heard that.
I'm sure she's thinking that mainly because I called her out in the last fight. But I'm like, if anything, because of the outcome of both of our fights, I mean, she's lucky. She should be happy. It's like, yeah, you're welcome. we're both relevant, more so her because she got messed up pretty bad on her last fight. I mean, what are you going to go after that, after fighting a pro debuter and getting your nose smashed in with 35, 36 stitches? So if anything, just
Damn,
for people
she had that many?
it's something like that, yeah. So I'm like, you know, from what I hear after I was even calling her out, she was talking to the media, talking a whole bunch of trash about me, and like I really don't give a shit. You know, it's like, if for you to be in boxing for as long as you have, and if you understand the history of it, you also know that this is how you play the game. This is how you start creating direction for yourself, and you give yourself relevancy in this sport, especially as a women athlete. In my head, I was like, no, it doesn't matter. The only thing that's in my head is for me to go out there and just put out a hell of a performance. We really, despite what happened on the last fight, I'm so thankful for it to happen, just to get the activity again. It had been 2 years since I got into the cage, and just to be able to get back into that whole realm and just being just experiencing it again. It definitely put a lot of things in perspective, and I'm just thankful that I was just a phenomenal team. Angela's been so down. Frank Mir has been so down. Like, he's more prevalent in the camps a lot more. I'm getting more involved. Obviously, Foodie Fit. I'm having a lot of my other sponsors. Big shout out to Esprit, who's been also taking care of my body. Yeah.
So you're like that guy that bumped into Bilal's turntables in the movie House Party. I'm hooking you up by shouting her name out.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we'll look at fight sports and we'll think it's an individual sport, and it's not. It's definitely a team sport. From what I saw from watching Manny Pacquiao over the years, and also Floyd Mayweather over the years, they have a fucking huge team. Like Manny Pacquiao, like it's so common to see Manny go through the gym doing his stuff, and then after that going down to the local Thai restaurant and just spending like $1,000 on food, just feeding everyone. That's,
you know who my favorite member of his team is?
Who?
Pac-Man. We've seen him.
Dog.
Yeah, because we have a Jack Russell Terrier as well, and they look very similar.
You need a Jack Russell Terrier in your entourage.
So when he's walking them through and they're walking them here,
yeah.
I can see Pac-Man. Yeah,
oh, that's tight.
He stays at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, no, because I remember when I was when I took a break to go over to the restroom out here, and I'm like, man, there's so many memories out here. Because like me and Angela, we would go down this side, go over to Delano, and go into that restaurant, because that's where Freddie would always have his breakfast and shit.
Yeah, sometimes the crew will follow him, the HBO crew or whoever's he was filming for.
Yeah, and you have like roads of Filipino people just coming out.
One of my regrets was not bringing Pac-Man in here just to do a selfie with him.
I know, that would
because
be cool.
Max, our dog, he used to have. Why isn't he up there anymore?
Because we put that up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Max used to hang out here a lot as well, and a lot of people have met Max.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take one with Pac-Man as well, and see if anybody would recognize the difference.
Would you guys go to any of his sermons?
That'd be cool.
If what?
His sermons? Have you gone to any of them?
No.
I was just
Pac-Man gives sermons?
Yeah, that's like something new.
All right.
Yeah, a week before his fight.
We got to get to our next guest. Yeah. His name is Ben Nguyen. He woke up early, so much respect. Thank you very much, Ben. And he will be fighting at UFC 221 in Perth, Australia, which is on the opposite end of where he lives. He lives, let me see, on the eastern coast, and he lives in Brisbane. And he'll be traveling to Perth, which is on the west coast. And Australia is like the United States.
Massive.
It's big, so it's a trip that he has to look forward to. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Ben? How you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm here. I'm up.
Thanks for waking up early for us. We really, 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 really appreciate that. You're a team player. What's your normal wake up time anyway?
Normally it's been around 7.
Oh, okay. So we didn't hammer you too bad then, right?
Nah, it's not too bad. Nah, it's just I probably just like slip back into bed for an hour and hang out until I have to go training again.
Man, this fight, I don't know whether the way to break it down to you as you're 4-1 in the UFC, and everyone knows you're rising, you're becoming that contender. But Jussier Formiga, man, he's like that true test. You know what I mean? No disrespect to the other guys. It's just that Formiga's occupied a spot from 1 to 5 for like the last 3 years. So huge fight for you. I'm sure you got to be excited about that opportunity.
That's huge, man. Yeah, my goal for last year is to make it into the top 10. This year is to make it into the top 5. And he's just met that win the 5 bracket and plan on taking him out, taking a spot, and hopefully, maybe getting a title shot.
About Jussier Formiga, people used to say, well, the ground is where the concern is, but he's really, really improved his striking. When you break down another fighter, do you worry so much about their strengths and weaknesses, or do you worry more about what you bring to the table and let them worry more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jussier Formiga, he's very dangerous on the ground. Most of his wins have been from rear naked choke, actually. So we've been working a lot of back defense, a lot of submission defense. But yeah, his strike is looking a little bit better. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best, but but it's there. Always got to be mindful of that. So working a bit of everything.
Ben Nguyen, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's a UFC flyweight who will be taking on Jussier Formiga at UFC 221. That fight card is headlined by Luke Rockhold versus Yoel Romero for the middleweight interim title. All right, goes. What do you have for Ben Nguyen?
Ben, when you break this fight down in your head, do you have different ways of this finishing, or is there only one way that you see it finishing?
Oh man, in my head, like there's be many ways to finish a guy. Using my strength, I'm more of a you know me from the viral video and all that stuff. I'm more of a puncher, counter fighter, striker. But like in my last fight, I ended up rear naked choking Canelo out of all people. So I feel like there's so many different ways for me to finish, and if it's there, it's there. I'll take it. So.
How often do you think about the champion, and say when this fight is done, does the focus automatically go on the champ until your next opponent is announced?
Everyone kind of keeps an eye on Demetrius, and everyone asks the question, how would you beat Demetrius, and it just comes down to just breaking him down and looking at all tape, and trying to find that one little weakness that you really have to look for. But I guess like I haven't really broken him down that much. I feel like I do have like a different skill set than all the other different flyweights in the division. Just got like a different style, different footwork, different striking setups and stuff. So I feel like I have a better chance than all the other flyweights to beat him.
Ben Nguyen, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, and as you're hearing the interview, follow him on Twitter at Ben10MMA. Let me turn it over to Dan Tom, our fight analyst.
Hey, Ben. I know you worked in the past with Integrated MMA. I see on your Instagram you're working with, looks like Team Compton. Is that correct? Or who are you working with for this fight?
I'm working with Integrated MMA. It's my main gym. That's where I get most of my team training at. And then I go down to my striking coach, Team Compton. Steve Compton is my striking coach. He's awesome. He's the best. And my main coach, I've actually go up to his house and I train at his garage. Me and a small group of people train in his matted garage. And
there it is. Hang on a second. There it is.
Damian Brown.
I was just gonna say Ben Nguyen finally let out the Aussie accent. The garage, he said. Did you hear that? He said it twice.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can't detect that he's been living in Australia for a few years. Sorry to interrupt, but I was like, this dude's in Australia for how long? He hasn't picked up shit. But there it was, folks. All right, sorry to interrupt. Keep talking about the garage.
Sorry. Yeah, we trained in his matted garage. Me and Damian Brown. He's also on the card as well, so we're kind of working together. Kind of got like a little super camp going on in his garage. So
nice.
A lot of fun.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you had some good training partners there in Damian Brown. I know that guy's experienced, but for people that don't know, I mean, you're pretty experienced too, Ben. I mean, you train, a lot of different camps. Tiger Muay Thai, obviously, roots from North Dakota. You fought MSG in Canada. South Dakota. I apologize. Big mistake there. But can you tell me though about all that travel? Is that like all kind of coming to a point where that's all kind of helping now? All that experience from whether it's fighting, all your training.
I feel like I've experienced a lot in the MMA world, just training at different camps. South Dakota, going over to Thailand, Tiger Muay Thai, and then making my way over to Australia. It wasn't by choice actually. I just followed my girlfriend at the time over to Australia. Now she's my wife, and now I was just making do with whatever I had here, and it just turned out to be one of the best training camps, people, coaches. I coached Dan Higgins. Just meeting all my coaches and just putting it all together, and just happened to be one of the best decisions MMA career-wise for me ever. So it was almost like it was meant to be.
Ben Nguyen, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He sports a record of 18-6. He has won 11 of his last 12. He's 4-1 in the UFC, and of his 18 wins, 15 have been finishes. His fights are always exciting, and he's got a great one coming up versus Jussier Formiga at UFC 221. Ben, thank you very much for waking up early and doing the interview. Best of luck with the rest of your camp. Safe travels to Perth, and good luck at UFC 221.
Thank you, guys. My pleasure. Take care, all right?
All right, we'll see you, Ben. All right, folks, there you have it. That's Ben Nguyen. Big shout out to Ed Cap for making that one happen, and big shout out to Ben for waking up early and doing the interview. And folks, we're going to take a quick break. Excuse me.
Well, I was just going to say, and those training sessions at Compton's are tough, so I got to imagine as soon as they're done, he's straight out of Compton, right?
Straight out of Compton. Yeah. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. When we come back, we'll take a couple quick calls and then bounce on out of here.
You know that Simpsons reference?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Points.
Yeah.
That's major points.
Major.
That's what you say. You just say the pain train's coming, and I choose
Coming back so much.
you, and then that.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
The best of SiriusXM Super Bowl coverage is all on one channel, Super Bowl 52, radio channel 145. Hear the news and interviews with athletes and entertainers from all of SiriusXM's channels, broadcasting from the Mall of America. Super Bowl 52 radio, channel 145. Ana Julaton will be headed to Connecticut on February, sooner than that, but she'll be fighting at Bellator 194 on February 16th versus Heather Hardy. What's the prediction for that night for the outcome?
Prediction? Pain.
Dude, Simpsons reference, Rocky reference.
Yeah.
You're on fire today.
You gonna go for that nose?
I'm gonna go for whatever comes. For me, as uncomfortable as the camp has been, it's been such a blessing because that's all I can just really focus on. Like, you're asking me what my walkout song is gonna be. I was like, I haven't even thought that far ahead. I'm just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm already like saving all my energy just so I can go do my sparring rounds, do another set of training session, get ready for bed. You know, get my nutrition all set. Because it's all about getting that repetition in, you know, and I like that. I love that. I miss that so much. So, you know, big shout out to Bellator for giving me another fight to stay active and just to live the life that I just love. Yeah, it's funny. We had and I'm sorry, I keep talking about Foodie Fit, but they've just been so phenomenal. Like, they came in, watched our sparring session yesterday.
So hungry now. All the food talk.
And he like, Charlie was just so like surprised at like how we were going at it. You could just hear the sounds of the whip. You could see, you know, us taking the shots, you know, and it was back and forth action and stuff like that. And you know, it's just war. And yeah, I can't really see too far ahead. All I could do is just think of the moment.
Let's finish up with some calls here. Dan from Oregon, he's been waiting. What's up, Dan?
What's up, sickos? Hey, MMA history today. Ben Rockwell did the 10-figure guillotine on Josh Barnett, man. I can't believe you guys missed that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The old MMA history today. That was an amazing submission because I don't even think Barnett had ever been submitted up until when Ben Rothwell did it. Anybody that predicted that outcome, my hat is off. Now, Ben Rothwell is great at submissions, but it's just that Josh Barnett is great at them also. So I think that's why we thought that would probably be either settled via decision or via strikes. But, yeah, great win for Ben Rothwell.
For sure. And I want to touch back on the fights from this weekend, man. Everyone's talking about Gregor Gillespie. Everyone's talking about Mirsad Bektic and their body work and striking and shit. I haven't heard no one give love to Corey Sandhagen.
No. I did. You better go somewhere. I did. I called in and I said that dude was amazing, man, because he fought at LFA the week before, and then turned around and did it in 8 days. Came back and won, and he impressed me, man. He went to the body. He was digging. Arnett was the opponent's name. He even took some shots too, like a 3-piece combo. I was telling Dan Tom, also known as Danny Tommy, also known as Daniel Thomas. I was telling him, "Did you hear that?" He just went bah, 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 bah. So great chin. I think he might be a little too reckless, but that's the way you have to be when you're young. So if he could just make sure that he keeps delivering the shots and doesn't take the shots, he's got. I think he's got a lot of promise. I thought he had a great post-fight speech, but I was really, really impressed by him.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out on Fight Pass. And man, that guy, he moves like TJ Dillashaw, and having Dominic Cruz on the call for something like that was amazing. It was glorious. But back to you guys. I'm out of here.
All right, see you. All right, we're going to do like 3 minutes of overtime just so we can accommodate Hal and give a proper farewell to Anna. She's got a big fight coming up versus Heather Hardy at Bellator 194. I can't wait to see it. These two ladies have done a lot in the boxing world, and now they're bringing the talents to the MMA world. And then they're going to take it back to the boxing world, except they'll be fighting each other in this 1-2 punch that they've agreed to. So much respect there for both ladies to do that. It's going to be very, very entertaining. SiriusXM audience, you have more combat sports and entertainment coming your way. So stay on the channel, SiriusXM Rush 93. And, of course, you can hear the replay of the show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as the following day at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also listen to the show on the Sirius XM app, commercial free and in HD quality. So give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. Excuse me, seconds for overtime.
And the one band is crashing all those hopes down the drain. Fever, Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again.
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, Hal from Chicago, what's up, man? Make it a good one. We did overtime just for you.
Orale. What's up, guys? How you doing, Anna?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. What's your setup? You know, for your favorite KO combo, like just a 1-2, or you have something you fancy?
You know, I think whatever works at the moment. I'll tell you what. One thing that I enjoyed recently was watching Aaron Pico at that one of the last Bellator fights where he
brutal.
Yeah, he set up with a leg punch and he just went right for a body shot. You know, like his jab, for instance. If I was watching a boxing match, it was the leg kick, and he just went for that body shot, and his opponent just went down the ground. You know, so I think it's intuitive and whatever works at the moment. You know, because that right there, just that combination, it's not a commonly practiced combination. You know, leg kick to a body shot. Usually it'll be like a leg kick to a head punch or something like that, or double double kicks, or regular 1, 2, 3 back leg kick. You know, that's totally just off the rhythm point. So yeah, whatever works. What's your favorite?
One thing I like,
his favorite combo is the number 1 at McDonald's.
Number 3, you get it right. Number 3, no onions.
No, that's mine.
Oscar De La Hoya used to throw this beautiful. He would feint left hand to the body and then come over the top with a left hook. That was. I don't see a lot of guys do that.
Yeah.
But that was the beauty. Just feint to the body and then come right over the top. That was awesome. One guy who has a lot of good combos is Machida, and he's a dog. I can't believe it. Eric Anders. I mean, who's this guy? Okay, he's got a nice amateur record. He's
I think Eric Anders is picking him up by the scruff of his neck right now.
Hal, we lost you, buddy.
Okay, hey, you got me?
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, he's a home dog here, fellas. He's a home dog. Big home dog. I know he's 3 losses. He hasn't won since 2014, but a lot of that was a suspension. And I think he came back. He got caught with Brunson. He was rusty. Now he's home. And I don't know, man. That's I got to go with Lyoto right there. I know you guys see it, but
I'll tell you how I see it. A lot of people are sprinting to bet on Anders now. So thank you, Hal, from Chicago.
So, the line just went up. The line just went up.
Went up from minus 260 to minus 400 from last night.
No, look, we feel you, man. It does seem bizarre, but Machida didn't look that great in his last fight. And okay, let's say we give him the pass because of the time off. Prior to that, I don't know. I don't know that he took some really, really bad KOs. And this other guy is just young and hungry. And either Machida's going to rise to the occasion because he is the hometown guy, and the crowd will drive him. I gave perfect examples of how that has happened recently. I just stuck with the middleweight division, and I used Weidman, for example. He didn't want to fight in Long Island, New York, because he had troubles in MSG, Buffalo, and he was just against doing that. But he said, I grew up going to the Nassau Coliseum to watch the Islanders, and that, I wanted to do it. And so he did, and he had a great fight versus Kelvin Gastelum. And then there's been many cases when someone just had a bad night at the office, being the home guy. So we really just don't know. And without knowing how their practices have gone, what their state of mind is, it's really just a crapshoot. So when someone is, I know that Reed Kuhn, for example, when he came with Fight Metrics, what was it called? Fightnomics? Fightnomics. One thing that stood out to me was age is a big factor in the criteria for breaking down fights. You know what I mean? Time off, which now Machida is not working off the time off because he fought the Brunson fight, but there was just certain things that stood out to me. I don't know, man. So if I'm gonna bet it, I don't need to bet every single fight, but I like to, and so I'd rather just throw something small on the young hungry lion.
Yeah. I don't remember any ex-football players rising to the top. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to fade that. And Anna, last question. I'm going to go for like Fight Club here. If you ever watched that movie, who would you like to fight? Anybody in the world? Who would you like to get in that ring and knock out?
See how.
I can only like focus on what's in front of me right now, you know. But maybe I could answer that after the fight. But the only thing I could think about right now is just doing my work on a daily basis, like what I was saying earlier. It's just I'm just kind of in the trenches right now, you know.
Do you prefer it being personal?
What do you mean?
Well, when you guys get there, I have a feeling that between media and maybe anything she says, it's going to get under your skin. And so do you kind of like that? Do you embrace that? Or do you hope that it's just you guys can keep to your own and you settle it in the cage?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you just got to adapt to it, you know.
I remember how fired up you used to get about Ann Osman.
Oh, yeah.
And so I actually enjoy it, to tell you the truth. Dan's a little different. He's more of traditional martial arts, which you come from. So he's probably more about let him settle in the cage. But I like those antics, you know what I mean? So what of the two, what kind of a fight week would you want out there?
I guess a little bit of both, because I'd say any big fight, it always came down to that, you know. And I think the magic of it is just knowing how to manage yourself, you know, with the time being, and also making sure that everyone on the team is on board too. They can't get drawn into the hype up train and then expose that type of energy in front of you, you know. But for me, I don't know. It really doesn't matter, especially being at this point in my career. I'm just looking forward to actually just stepping into the cage and just doing the easiest thing out of this whole entire camp, on top of the media and the training and all this other stuff, is just going out there and just perform, you know. That's a cool picture.
I'm working on it. Does that make sense? That's Darren Elkins and that's Alien, but when it comes out.
It's all right. All right. Follow her on Twitter at Ana Julaton. We are going to get out of here. Remember, Ana will be fighting at Bellator 194. And that's coming up here in a few weeks, February 16th to be exact. They're going to be fighting out at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. The headliner that night will be Roy Nelson versus Matt Mitrione, Derek Campos versus Patrick Frady. That should be a good one. Liam McGeary's back as well. So Bellator putting together a nice card for the East Coasters. Also want to thank Ben Nguyen, who will be fighting Jussier Formiga at UFC 221. Just hung up the phone with him. He looks like he's ready to go. Should be a big fight for him. He's fighting someone ranked ahead of him, so this could be a big move for him as he ascends up the flyweight ranks. And lastly, Brendan Fitzgerald will be calling the fights. UFC Fight Night 125 in Belém, Brazil. He will be paired up with Paul Felder, a good friend of the show. And that fight card is headlined by Lyoto Machida and Eric Anders. So that's it for today, folks. Big thank you to Ana for sticking around with us and co-hosting the show.
Thank you.
Even finding out more and more stuff about her. Very interesting. And let us know if you really want us to pick out that walkout music. We got Junkie Nation's very creative.
Yeah.
So is Goes and Dan, and I think we can put something together. So if you want, we'll maybe put that out.
Yeah, 100%.
And see if we can submit some to you. And if you go with it, great. And if not, no, whatever. Won't hurt our feelings. Ana's nickname is Hurricane. She comes from a boxing background. She's now fighting MMA and boxing. She's Filipino descent. She's a NorCaler. She loves the Warriors. She loves the San Francisco Giants. And the Raiders. All right, so something centered around there. Maybe you guys can make it work. We are out of here, folks. For Ana and Danny and Dan and Goes and Angelo, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.